Hey guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day, whether you're listening to this first thing in the morning or maybe later in the afternoon or late at night whenever you need just something to put on in the background. I'm glad to be here with you. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I do really appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the new year. I might give my philosophies on New Year resolutions a little bit, but mostly we're just going to be looking forward. I'm going to take a few questions that are related to 2025 and what is coming ahead for me and what I think about the general times that we're living in. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Sometimes, the work is so, you try to be true. You feel sometimes it's on the verge of a kind of craziness, but it isn't really craziness. It's really getting the truest part of yourself out, and it's very hard. I mean, it's not easy, let's say. And yet it can be very simple at the same time.
When it comes to New Year's resolutions, I really don't have much of a preference. I think a lot of people have really strong takes on this, but for me, I feel like if it works for you, then why stop? If it doesn't work for you, and if it puts a lot of pressure on you to meet a certain standard right away, and that prevents you from getting to the goals that you're setting, then maybe New Year's resolutions aren't for you, babe. That's okay. I think that there's a lot of pressure that people do put on themselves around this time of year, especially because people sometimes have a tendency to look back at the end of a year and use it as an excuse to beat themselves up for what they didn't accomplish, right? So then, whenever we move into the next coming year, we take that energy and we turn it into more anger and expectation and pressure that we put on our own shoulders. And then, I'm of the belief that if you start off a year like that and if you continue the year with that energy, you're really only setting yourself up for failure. You can bully yourself all you want, but bullying is kind of a mixed bag, right? Like, you're not really gonna get the results that you're looking for if you're just being mean to yourself. So, I think that as long as you're able to set New Year's resolutions with faith in yourself and a lightness, whereas, you know, opposed to the idea that I set these and I'm going to stick to them, and if I don't reach these then I have failed. It's I think it's healthier to set goals and adjust them as needed. If you decide you want to do a certain fitness goal or something and you're not able to reach that in the time limit that you set, maybe that just means you need to adjust some stuff. Maybe it didn't look like what you thought it was going to look like, and it's just going to take a little longer, or it's going to take a different type of working out to get to the goal that you're looking for. So I think that as long as we are open about reaching these goals and have the ability to pivot and change and adjust as needed, New Year's resolutions can be awesome. And honestly, I think that you can set a resolution at any time. I am a witch, so a majority of what I do as a witch is setting intention, and New Year's resolutions are is just like a fancy a fancy term for setting intentions for the coming year, right? You intend to reach these goals. So as a witch, I'm setting intentions all year long, all the time. Not all the time, but I do it a lot. So it's interesting to me. Everybody puts these this big importance on New Year's resolutions, but honestly, I'm doing that kind of stuff all the time for myself. And whether I reach those goals is another is another topic entirely, and we'll talk a little bit about that today, I think. But yeah, that's my general viewpoint on New Year's resolutions. I think a lot of people are anti New Year's resolutions because of the pressure that I mentioned. And other people, it really, really works for them because you're just a super motivated kind of person. You believe in yourself. You have that positive kind of mindset that enables you to move forward and adapt as needed, and it works for you. So I applaud you. Keep going. You got this. If New Year's resolutions aren't for you, that's okay too. And with that, our first listener question for today is anything you're looking forward to in 2025? And yes, I am looking forward to a lot of things in 2025 because I'm starting it with a lot of resolution to be fixed towards change because I know that I need a lot of change in my life right now. And I don't know exactly what that looks like. So I'm in this little phase of kind of trying things out and allowing time to tell and just not pressuring myself about it. So my resolution for this year really is to be open and to engage in things that I've been putting off. So those kinds of things are um, physical exercise. I've really been afraid to get into physical activity since I got my wrist surgery, and since before then when I had my wrist injury. I actually got my wrist injury at the gym. So I was in this, like, fitness era. I was like, oh my gosh, I was listening to Victoria Monet albums on the treadmill, feeling so good about myself, and I wanted to try to do some of the weightlifting stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. And I didn't really, like, go crazy or anything, but I do remember this one time I was doing some kind of overhead press, and, I felt a little pop in my wrist, and I was like, "Hmm, weird." And then, right after that, a few weeks later, I noticed a big cyst forming on my wrist, and then I had it on and off for like 2 years, and it got worse and worse, and that is what caused the need for me to get my surgery. So that created a bit of a blockage in me around physical fitness because I want to be strong. Like, that is one of my biggest goals that I've had for years now. I wanna be strong, but I'm afraid of hurting myself again. So, and I've always had weak wrists. I've always had wrist problems. Early on in my 20s, I started having these problems. So it's not anything new. So I'm easing myself back into yoga already, and it's been really nice. It feels great. It feels great to move my body again and to gain some flexibility back. I forgot how into yoga I used to be, and it's not just a physical activity, it's not just for my physical body, it's really for my mental and emotional state as well, my spiritual state. It's a very integrative part of my routine. It used to be, at least, so I'm really looking forward to doing that again. I've been pretty good. I've almost been doing it every day. Some days I've needed to take a break, but I'm very much looking forward to making yoga a part of my regular routine again, and hopefully finding a teacher that engages in the more well-rounded aspects of yoga, not just like hot yoga or like puppy yoga. I don't want the watered down whitewashed versions of yoga. I would love to find another teacher that really uses all of the more spiritual aspects of the practice in their classes. And I used to have a teacher like that, but she's not teaching anymore, so I have to find a new person. I do have some awesome videos from my old teacher, so I'll probably start there. But anyway, I could ramble about this forever. But that's something that I'm really looking forward to in 2025 for sure. And the other really big goal of mine is to make friends? That sounds so lame, huh? No, I just need to be social again. I've really, allowed my hermit ways to take hold, and speaking of the hermit, it is actually the year of the hermit in tarot. Every year, we have a card of the year, and at some point, I'm gonna be talking about that on the podcast, but it's just funny that, my goals for the year are to shy away from my hermit tendencies, and yet we're in the year of the hermit. I guess that's good timing, maybe. But anyway, we'll get into that later. I am excited and nervous to put myself out there again. Of course, as a sex worker, it is strange to make new friends because I am of the, I guess my first instinct is to keep it a secret, just to protect myself. And that's what I've been doing for years and years. But now I'm at a point in my life where, like, I don't really care what people think. I just don't wanna tell the wrong person, you know what I mean? Because certainly, like, most people will be shocked and surprised, right? Or interested and wanna know all kinds of, personal details. But and I can handle that, it'll be, embarrassing, but I can handle that. It's more the, like, I just don't wanna tell the wrong person that ends up getting weird and clingy and stalkery. So I'm gonna figure that out this year. That's gonna be one of my biggest goals is to create more of an actual physical community because I have lovely online communities that I've been engaging in for years and really lovely online friends that I've made. But yeah, your girl needs to put herself back out there again. So that's a big thing that I'm gonna try to do this year. And the wheels are already turning on that. So I'm feeling hopeful. I love that question. So thank you for that first one. Our next question is, what motivates you to be so positive every day? And when I read this the first time, it made me laugh a little bit. I think that on my socials, I come across as really positive. I try to share a lot of helpful mental health memes and stuff. I definitely strive to be a mental health advocate. I think it's really important to take care of your mental health. And part of that is to foster positivity, right? At the same time, I know the dangers of toxic positivity. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I am so positive because I have a very negative inner voice. So I deal with pretty severe anxiety and depression on a daily basis. And I've lived this way for a long time. It's just been a part of me ever since I was young. And so to combat that, I try to consume positive media and be mindful of the, you know, tracks of thought that I go down. And I want you all to know that I am not perfect at this. What I share on socials is a very like idealistic version of what my mindset is, right? So I'm usually struggling daily to stay positive, especially in the times that we're currently living in. But I think that trying to share the things that help me, so whatever I see on my feeds, I try to then share with my audience because I do that in the hope that it will be the right thing for someone that day, right? The right thing for them to see in that moment that will bring them out of the negative loop that they were stuck in. So that's why I'm so positive on my social media. I also believe that in the times we are currently living in, it's very, very important for us to not allow the drudgery to take away our joy. And that's easier said than done, especially if you are part of a marginalized group of people that is afraid of your rights being taken away in the incoming administration. My heart goes to you. I feel you as a sex worker. I am very worried as a woman. I'm very tired. And as a person in the LGBTQ community, my heart is hurt for everyone that is more affected by all of the um, all of the legislation that has been passed in these last few years and will be passed in the next coming years. What I mean to say by this is that while I am a part of the LGBTQ community, I appear straight and I appear cis, and I'm in a straight passing relationship, and I don't experience the systemic violence and uh, general homophobia that the other people and a lot of other people in the LGBTQ community experience. So I am here with you. I am here to listen. I'm here to support you. Um, and I'm also here to acknowledge that I have great privilege as a straight passing person within the community. So you're safe here with me, at least. I love you. So there's reasons to be feeling bad. And I don't want to take away from that. I don't want to act like it's just easy to be positive because it's not. That would get that gets into the toxic positivity kind of realm, where you just believe, well, mind over matter, everything, you can create your reality and everything's fine as long as you say so. The idea that a lot of our elders have, and elders, I'm talking like boomers, believe that like that mind over matter, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, that kind of mindset. There's a fine line, okay? There's a fine line between having positivity and wanting to experience joy in your life and being toxically positive. Being toxically positive just means that you're going to ignore any negative, okay? And when you ignore the negative, it creates more problems, right? And I don't think it's right to ignore the negative because then we don't have the full experience of this human experience. Um, and that's not to say that, like, we have to suffer in order to prosper. Kind of, that is true though, but but it's not to say that, like, we deserve suffering, but, we have to feel all of this as it comes, or else it just becomes, uh, you know, buried within us, and that can create more problems in the long run. If you continuously bury your sorrow and your grief and your anger, it eventually will spill over and it'll cause problems in your life and in the lives of the people around you. So I think it's important to find outlets for your stress so that you can feel a little bit more positive and experience a little more joy because you're not holding on to all the worry that you're experiencing. I think physical exercise can be a really good outlet for that stuff. Just taking a walk, it can be as simple as taking a walk or even spending time with friends, being social, being around people that you love can be a great way to foster a more positive mindset. Of course, it's good to be mindful about the people that you are around too, because maybe it's not a good idea to hang out with your super cynical friend that is super negative all the time. Maybe that's not the vibe that you need right now. And that's not to say like abandon all your negative friends. But it's just important. It's important to have boundaries too if you need that. If you need to have some space from those types of people when you're feeling negative yourself, then send love to that person, but spend your time elsewhere doing other things that will help you to uh, enjoy your time and be mindful and be present, right? A lot of us can get stuck in worry about the future. Trust me. Trust me, I know how that goes. I've been worrying about the future for my whole life, so um, but yeah, that was a long tangent. I am motivated to be so positive because I feel so negative about a lot of things naturally, and so this is my attempt to bring more positivity and more joy into my life, and yeah, this is gonna lead us into the next question, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask that one. The next question is: have the current events happening in the world affected your faith or spirituality? And I'll be so honest with you guys, a lot of my questions I gathered last year. So this was asked right around October, November time of last year, which would have been, well, last year, which would have been 2023. And if you're versed in world events, you know what happened around that time. So, wow, a lot has happened. A lot has happened since that time. So I'm going to answer this in a more broad sense because so much has happened outside of Palestine. And of course, I stand with Palestine. I do not stand with systems and regimes that are oppressive in nature. And I don't stand with any form of terrorism or violence. I don't believe that Hamas is in the right. I do believe that war is stupid and genocide is reprehensible, and our country was born from genocide. So if those things make you upset, I'm so sorry. But these are my opinions. I'm here to share my musings on all the various aspects of life. I did say I would talk about taboo things, so supposedly this is taboo. I don't think it should be, but after witnessing the way that algorithms fight against people that do speak out against the genocide in Gaza, I know how. taboo this topic is. So that was what this question was originally asking about. And certainly, after the horrible carnage that we've seen over the last few years at this point, um, yeah, it does affect my faith and my spirituality. And there are many other places that are experiencing horrible things. And our own country is falling apart. The world is on fire. The world is quite literally actually on fire and also metaphorically on fire. These are some of the most trying times that these are the most trying times that I've lived through personally. I am 32 years old. I did not live through any other world wars, but certainly this does feel as though we are entering into another one of those eras. So I think it's important for us to not shy away from sharing our voices on this. It's really scary, to be honest, because we're moving into a political regime that would seek to take away our voices. Um, so that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, is because I think it's important for us to have a variety of viewpoints, especially from marginalized groups. So that's why I do want to talk more about sex work and stuff, but I'll try to stay focused on the question here. It has affected my faith and spirituality over the last year, partially due to that and partially due to personal circumstances. I barely practiced witchcraft at all. And I really didn't do much in terms of my own spirituality either. I really lost sight of those things because of the monotony of violence that we've all just been witness to. It's really hard to want to focus on the ethereal realm whenever there is so much suffering happening in the physical realm. And so, yeah, it's been very hard. And that's one of my goals for this year, is to lean into my spirituality again, because I know that it's going to enable me to be a source of positivity, a source of strength, a source of joy, a source of enjoyment for people during these times. And I think that's important. I truly wholeheartedly believe that art is it reaches its most important um, role during times like this in society. Art is so important when it comes to revolutionizing communities and our society as a whole. You know, when we look back at history, we look at art a lot of the time. We look at art to see how people were reacting, what kind of human experiences people were having during various historical periods of time. And so, a lot of what I do, I view as art. So I will continue to create art, and that might be written or photography or spoken like this podcast, but it's important for me to continue to be creative and lean into my creativity as a source of stress relief, as well as a way to connect with my audience and to, like I said, help foster little pockets of joy during these difficult times. Because I think that to truly revolutionize ourselves, we have to start with ourselves, right? We have to revolutionize ourselves before we can revolutionize a country. And that starts with, experiencing radical joy. And what I mean by that is to not allow the scariness of the future to stop us from being present in the now and from enjoying the time we have with the people we love, doing the things we love, and basically, just surviving despite it all, surviving and thriving despite the scary shit that's happening. So that is what I'm going to be focusing on in this next year. And yeah, so I guess I'm going to be focusing on having joy in spite of the insanity of the world. So yeah, I hope that you'll take that on for yourself if you're a person that's feeling hopeless right now because fuck them. Fuck them. Let's have a good time. Let's make this the best year ever. Let's make this the year that we create our own communities and we foster joy within those communities despite these systems seeking to take away our rights. Let's move forward in spite of them. Some people might think that's like a negative motivation, but fuck that. I'll be so honest. Fuck that. Sometimes this is what it takes. And so I'm sending strength to anybody that is feeling like their faith has been taken from them, their faith in humanity has been taken. I understand. I feel the same. I feel the same. But I think that we have to find that faith within our own communities again. And then we can work to create the change to build that faith again in the whole of humanity. I'm hoping the astrology girly in me is going to come out for a second here. Pluto did move into Aquarius. If you follow me on any of my socials, you'll know I've kind of been talking about this on and off on Twitter, sometimes on Blue Sky. I don't really post on Twitter as much as I do on Blue Sky now, but anyway, back around the election here in the US, at the beginning of November, Pluto officially moved into Aquarius for real this time. It's been moving in and out of Aquarius because that's typically what happens whenever a planet shifts out of one sign. It goes through retrogrades and it kind of dips in and out of either sign for a moment there before it switches completely into the next sign. And Pluto moves very slowly, which means that Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. The last time that this happened was during the American Revolutionary War and during a couple other revolutionary wars around the world as well, including the French Revolution. And so, as we are headed into our own revolution, I think it's important for us to keep our eye on the prize and to understand that it is coming. The world that we have envisioned for ourselves that is filled with innovation and human connection and more peace is coming. We have to keep moving forward. We can't allow the current times to stop us from dreaming of the future because it is coming. It's coming. It's going to be a long and difficult road, but it is coming. There wouldn't be this type of flashback from the radical right if we hadn't already made a lot of progress. And that is why I believe we've seen so much violence and so much hateful rhetoric in the last 10 years, is because we've made a lot of headway in a lot of ways for social justice. And it's a natural response of the other side to want to, take control back. But we won't let them because we will be focused on living in spite of them, even though some of these people would prefer that we not be around. So let's stick around in spite of that and see what the world grows into. I do have hope. Um, it is a little it is a little daunting to think, oh God, 20 years. But at the same time, life is long. Life is long, guys. I have hopes that in those 20 years we will do what we can to stop and reverse some of the ecological damage that we've done to our planet. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I am choosing to stay hopeful because what else? What else would I do? To be honest, I'm that type of person. Like, what else am I going to do? Am I just going to decide that everything's going to be bad and just like wither away? No, I'm not going to do that. And that's probably my Aries Mars within me. Aries Mars in the first house. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I am going to sit and lay down and let life overtake me. I am going to take it by the horns. And we're going to ride this fucking rodeo until I can't ride it no more, okay? So that's the vibe. So I hope that you can take some of that fire for yourself and really allow it to inspire you forward. You got this. We got this. We will make it through. We will make it through these next 4 years and beyond into the future. And it will get better. It may get worse first, but it will get better. And we always have the people we love to lean on. And as long as we set our sights on love and understanding, there are an endless amount of people that we can bring into that loving circle for ourselves. So that's that. My last question is a little unrelated, but it is related to, looking in forward into 2025. Someone on Instagram asked, "Are you going to stay on TikTok?" And if you're listening to this whenever I post it, which is early January 2025, we are awaiting the results of the long-standing ban against TikTok. It is supposed to go into effect January 19th of this month. And so I'm just waiting. I have no idea what's going to happen. There's been a lot of kind of pushback on either side, and a lot of rumors and a lot of little changes here and there. Apparently, um, our incoming president wants to not ban TikTok, but I don't really know if he's going to have the power to do that because it's supposed to get banned the day before he takes office. So I don't know if that's really going to come through. Maybe it will. I have a feeling if it does, it will probably result in some changes. I don't think that, regardless of how this turns out, I don't believe that TikTok will come out unscathed. I do think that it'll probably change some things for the platform if they are to continue, operating in the US. If they are banned and they take it away from the App Store for us, really what's going to happen is that we're all just going to have it on our phones until it will no longer work, which just means that, as they continue to roll out updates, uh, we will have more and more glitches on the apps on our phones. You won't be able to re-download it from the App Store. So you'll have to keep the old version on your phone until it's just no longer usable. I have no idea what this means for people that make money off of TikTok. I do myself get some tips during my live streams and make a little extra money there, but it's not my main source of income. I do believe that if they take the app away from the App Store and effectively ban it from use in the country, it probably will ban the ability of monetization for creators, but I have no idea. I assume that's how that's going to work. So many people will lose their jobs. Many small businesses will lose their income. And by many, I mean like hundreds of thousands. There's a lot of information out there. You can look it up for yourself, but there are hundreds of thousands of small businesses in the US that have made their whole living off of selling their products or video views and all that kind of stuff via TikTok. So many people will lose that. I will not lose a majority of my income. I'm going to stay there. I mean, like, I'll stay on TikTok until it is no longer. I'm never going to delete my TikTok. That's not something I really considered. I am definitely taking steps back from it, mostly because I have so many catfishes. There are so many catfishes of me on TikTok now that I'm I it's the one thing that seems to really be holding me back from being able to grow now again. It's been really hard to get views, and I believe it's probably something to do with the algorithm. They really hate when people post the same content, like, it gets triggered within their algorithm, and, like, whenever I used to repost my videos back when I was trying to make money off of views on my TikTok, when I would repost my videos, they would become ineligible because they'd been, posted already, so they were like, "Oh, this is unoriginal content, it's not eligible to make money on." It's like, "Damn, I just reposted it." Like, geez. So I have a feeling that the catfish is reposting a bunch of my content has created more problems for me on TikTok. So it's just not like it's not very fun to be on there either, knowing that there's a lot of catfish is trying to scam people in my name. It really sucks, and there's not much I can do about it. So that's been a big bummer for me over the last year, and it's been a big reason why things haven't been going so well for me. It's just like it just sucks. It just sucks to know that there are scammers out there trying to scam people by pretending to be you. Can you even imagine? Like, it's crazy. So yes, I'm gonna stay on TikTok, but I don't know what it's gonna look like. I do miss the days of just live streaming purely on TikTok. Nothing against the people that watch me on Twitch. I really appreciate you guys. I've had such a lovely time with the community on there. But the tech stuff, oh my gosh, I've had so many tech issues recently with streaming on Twitch, so I don't know. I don't know what the future of streaming looks like for me. I do think I'm never gonna give it up completely. At least I don't have intentions to do that, but it's definitely not gonna be as often as what I was doing at the end of 2024. I was going live like 2 to 3 to 4 times a week, depending on the week. But I think it'll probably be more like once a week or maybe once every couple weeks. I'm not really sure yet. I'm giving myself a break right now. So, really, for TikTok, I'm kind of just waiting. I'm not really, I did a random little live stream the other day. Shouts out if you caught it. If you ever do want to catch any of my live streams, make sure you join my Discord because I always announce when I'm going live there and send out a little notification to everybody. But um, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to see what happens because I'm not going to continue to put my eggs in a basket that might be ripped asunder, right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I have no idea. Hopefully, in a couple weeks, I'll have a little update for you guys. But as of right now, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see what happens. I probably will continue to post even if it does get banned, because it is my biggest platform, but it's not going to be super regular posting. I'm definitely the most active on my IG, and I do have two IGs now. If you want to follow me on my main Instagram, it's making Mary XOXO. And I made a Mary Muse XOXO account as well to share some of my favorite pictures that I've taken recently. So if you're interested in that, you can follow me there. I am definitely the most active there, but I will continue to stay on TikTok. We'll just see what happens with the whole ban thing. I don't know. I'm sure that a lot of you guys are have your own opinions on the TikTok ban, and I'm not going to really get into the specifics on that, but we will see. It's just one of the many unknowns of this coming year. So let me try to wrap this up in a nice little positive way. I hope that you found something meaningful in this episode as you listened. I really want to emphasize that idea of thriving in spite of the craziness of the world. Do whatever you can to enjoy the little things. I know times are really tight, times are so tough for so many people, and it's fucking awful and it's wrong and it shouldn't be like this. But don't lose hope. I have faith things will get better. It is worth taking time to enjoy the small things in your life, especially when you're struggling, especially when you're going through dark, difficult times. It is so important to focus on the small things that you can actually affect, whether that's doing a kind thing for someone you love to see the way their face lights up, whether that's taking moments to be grateful for the people that do that in turn for you, whether it's sitting with your pet who loves you unconditionally, making your favorite meal that maybe isn't so good for you, but it tastes like love, doing all those small things to make your life just a bit better. It really piles up over time. And it's going to be what helps us through these next 4 years. So I hope that this podcast inspired you to do those things for yourself because you're worth it. And I do, for some reason, against all odds, I do feel hopeful for this year. I know it's going to come with some bullshit, But I have hope. I have hope that this is going to be a big year full of change. There's going to be some revolutionary things going on, and I am here for it. I am sending so much love and sending so much protection, speaking protection over everybody listening. I'm really hoping that, we can come out of this as unscathed as possible, and that truly we can find ways to thrive in spite of all of it. So I'm speaking that over you as I do my little witchy spells. And I hope that you enjoyed listening to all my little philosophical thoughts on various things today. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you for being here. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. It feels really sweet to know that there are people out there that just want to listen to me talk about random stuff. So thank you. And thank you to everybody that sent in questions. If you are listening on the day that this comes out, which is Wednesday, the 7th of January, I have some kind of prompt over on my IG that you can answer if you want to send in some questions for the podcast. Make sure you always check out my IG on Wednesdays. And you can actually send in questions anytime as well. If you check my little link tree, there's a little halfway down the page, I think, there's a little form that you can send in questions anytime. So if something strikes you at a different time of the week, then feel free to send that in. I'm always checking that. And we'll see you in the next one. I think pretty soon here, I'm going to have another little meditation coming out. Stay tuned on the Patreon for that. I think we're going to be talking about the Hermit card a bit on there. I may talk about it a bit on this podcast as well, but we'll see. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye. You can visit xoxo.com to see all of Mary's links. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all your favorite listening platforms. And if you feel inclined, leave a 5-star review for us. Musings with Mary is listener sponsored, so if you'd like to support the podcast, please check out our Patreon. Shout out to all our current patrons. Thank you so much for the support. We'll see you in the next episode.